Okay, so let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most valuable, but also one of the trickiest markets in all of tourism, Japan. Everyone wants a piece of this market, but actually getting it, that's a whole different story. You know, this Thai phrase really says it all. Sweet, but not easy. The sweet part, Japanese tourists are incredibly loyal, respectful, and they spend well. But the not easy part, well, that's what we're here to unpack. Understanding this one paradox is the key to everything. So, where do we start? What's the biggest hurdle? You might think it's marketing or language, but it's actually something much, much bigger. It's a fundamental barrier that stops the whole journey before it even has a chance to begin. So I gotta ask you, what do you think it is? What's the number one thing holding Japanese tourists back from traveling abroad? Is it the cost? The language barrier? Maybe a fear of flying? The real answer is probably something you haven't even thought of. There it is, less than 20%. Out of a population of 120 million people, more than 80% don't even have the basic document required to leave the country. For many, Japan has everything they need, so why bother? It means you're not just trying to sell them on a destination, you're often starting from square one. And just to put that into perspective, look at the United States, where about half the population has a passport. The pool of potential travelers from Japan is just way, way smaller than the population number suggests. So you don't just have to be a great destination. You have to be so amazing that someone is willing to go get a passport just to see you. Okay, so let's talk about that 20% who do have passports. Their entire approach to travel is, well, it's completely different. These are not impulse buyers. You can forget about hitting them with a last-minute deal or a flash sale. It just won't work. And the difference is just night and day. You know, a Thai tourist might be booking a trip for this weekend, right now. But a Japanese tourist, they're probably planning next year's big vacation. They are incredibly meticulous, they do their homework, so if you want to win their business, you need to be on their radar months, if not a full year ahead of time. All right, this next part is, honestly, it's the most critical and, frankly, the most dramatic piece of the puzzle. We have to talk about what happens when things go wrong, because with the Japanese market, the stakes are incredibly high.
So in most businesses around the world, there's this concept called service recovery, right? It's what you do when you mess up. You apologize, you offer something to make it right, and you try to win the customer back. It's standard stuff.
Well, in the Japanese market, that concept might as well not exist. When you fail, when you really cross the line with a Japanese customer, there is no second chance. They might not make a scene, they might just quietly endure it, but inside, a switch has flipped. The relationship is over. Period.
This story is it's chilling, but it explains so much. There was a case of a husband who was so upset with his wife that he just stopped talking to her for 20 years. They lived in the same house, raised their kids, but he gave her the silent treatment for 2 decades. Now think about that. If forgiveness is that hard within a family, what chance does a business have?
And this isn't just a theory. It has happened in real life with absolutely devastating results. Sukhothai used to be a top destination for Japanese tourists, but after a tragic crime involving a tourist got huge news coverage on NHK back in Japan, the market didn't just shrink, it completely evaporated, gone. And more than a decade later, it still hasn't come back. They do not forget. But here's the beautiful flip side to that coin. If you get it right, if you earn their trust and you deliver perfectly, that same intensity is channeled into the most incredible, unwavering loyalty. Just like they never forget a mistake, they also never forget a wonderful experience. You earn a customer for life. So, you know the stakes, you know the potential reward. The question is, how do you actually do it? How do you win them over? Well, it's not magic. It comes down to a really disciplined approach based on 3 key ideas. First, you have to be meticulous. This means obsessing over every single detail, from making sure your website is perfectly translated to having the right amenities in the room. Second, be verifiable. What you show is what you must deliver. That picture of the steak on your menu, that better be exactly the steak that arrives at their table. And third, aim for friendship. This isn't about a one-time transaction. It's about building a genuine, long-term relationship. And here is where things get really cool. Because all these tough lessons you learned from trying to win over the Japanese market, they're not just for Japan. They actually give you a powerful new playbook for success in tourism, period. And this new playbook is built on 3 really smart strategies: deep but wide, less is more, and quiet but loud. Okay, Deep but wide. This means you have to stop trying to be everything for everybody. Instead, you go incredibly deep on a tiny, specific niche. A perfect example is this small company in Ayutthaya. They decided to focus only on tours for German-speaking wheelchair users. By becoming the absolute best in the world at that one specific thing, their reputation spread far and wide. Next up, less is more. This is all about having the courage to say no. You define exactly who you are, and you turn away anyone who doesn't fit. Look at the province of Pathalung. They decided they were a pure destination. That meant they actively didn't build things for the mass market. By doing less, they became more desirable and more valuable to the specific kind of traveler they wanted to attract.
And finally, quiet but loud. The idea here is to stop wasting money on huge, expensive ad campaigns that shout at everyone. Instead, you use smart, targeted tools, like AI-driven ads, to whisper directly to the exact people who need to hear your message. It's quiet, but its impact is incredibly loud. So here's the bottom line. The intense focus and discipline it takes to win a really difficult market like Japan, well, that's not just a niche skill. It gives you the strategies you need to win them all.
Which leads to the final question for you. Instead of trying to go broader, what deep and valuable niche could you completely master? What's the one thing you could become the best in the world at? Think about it. Thanks so much for tuning in.